Ever had a craving so strong it felt like a drug? That was me with porn. But today it's different. I was once a slave to my desires, a prisoner to my cravings. It was like a drug that I couldn't get enough of, an addiction that had me in its relentless grip. Porn and masturbation were my solace, my escape from reality, my crutch. It was an addiction that controlled my life, my decisions, my actions, and my thoughts. Day in and day out, I was consumed by this insatiable desire. It was always there, gnawing at the back of my mind, a constant reminder of my dependency. I was trapped in a vicious cycle, a never-ending loop of guilt, shame, and regret. I would succumb to my cravings, then wallow in self-loathing, promising myself that it would be the last time. But it never was. I was living under a cloud of shame, constantly hiding my secret from the world. The guilt was overwhelming, the shame unbearable. I was leading a double life, a facade, a lie. I was a prisoner in my own mind, chained by my own desires. I felt like I was drowning, unable to breathe, unable to escape. I was losing myself, my identity, my sense of self. I was no longer living, merely existing. I was a puppet, a marionette, my strings being pulled by my addiction. I was spiraling down a dark abyss, deeper and deeper into the depths of despair. But amidst the darkness there was a glimmer of hope, a faint flicker of light. I wanted to change, to break free from the chains of my addiction. I longed for freedom, for control, for a life not dictated by my cravings. And so, I embarked on a journey towards freedom, towards self-discovery, towards a new me. It was not easy, it was not quick, but it was worth it. It was a battle, a war against myself, against my desires. But I was determined, I was resolute, I was ready. It was a dark time in my life, a time where I felt I had lost control. But then something happened, something that changed everything. There was this one day, a day like any other, where I found myself once again in the throes of my addiction. As usual, I was chasing after that elusive high, that temporary escape from reality. But for the first time, I saw it. I saw the chains that bound me, the shackles of my own making. I looked in the mirror, and what stared back at me was not the man I wanted to be, but a man controlled by his cravings. The realization hit me like a cold splash of water. I was not in control, my addiction was. It was a terrifying truth to face. My heart pounded in my chest, my hands trembled, and a wave of fear washed over me. Fear of what I'd become, fear of what I was capable of under the influence of my addiction. It was a moment of clarity, a moment of truth. And in that moment, I felt a deep sense of denial. I didn't want to accept that I had a problem, that I was in the grip of something so powerful, so destructive. I wanted to believe that I was fine, that I had it all under control, that I could stop anytime I wanted. But deep down, I knew that was a lie. In the midst of that fear and denial, there was also a glimmer of hope. A small voice inside me whispered, "You can change." It was a faint voice, almost drowned out by the cacophony of my addiction. But it was there, persistent and insistent. It was the voice of my true self, the self that yearned to break free from the chains of addiction. I listened to that voice, and with a heavy heart I accepted the truth. I was addicted to porn and masturbation. I was a slave to my cravings. But I didn't want to be. I wanted to be free. I wanted to be in control. It was a daunting task, a mountain to climb, but I was ready to take that first step. I was ready to face my fears, to confront my addiction. I was ready to change. It was a scary realization, but it was the first step towards freedom. And so began my journey to freedom. Imagine being trapped in a maze, every turn leading to a dead end, but with a steadfast resolve, I kept pushing forward. This journey was fraught with challenges, each one more daunting than the last. There were times when the pull of the past was stronger than the promise of freedom, but I held on. It wasn't easy, not by a long shot. There were days when the cravings would come back, stronger and more insistent. But with every relapse, I learnt more about myself and my addiction. I began to understand the intricate wiring of my mind, how it craved the dopamine rush, the false sense of pleasure. I delved into the science behind my addiction. I discovered that it was more than just a moral failing or a lack of self-control. It was a neurological disorder where my brain had been rewired to associate pleasure with porn and masturbation. It was like a broken circuit, constantly sparking and causing a fire. The more I understood, the more I could fight back. I learnt to recognize the triggers, the thoughts that would lead me down that familiar path. I learnt to replace them with healthier habits, with activities that would give me a natural high. I read, I ran, I meditated. I started to rewire my brain to form new connections, new associations. It was a slow process, like a river carving its path through a mountain. There were setbacks, moments of doubt, times when it seemed easier to give in than to fight. But every small victory, every day I went without giving in, made me stronger. I remember the day I hit my first milestone, 30 days. It felt like I had climbed Mount Everest. It was a tangible proof that I could do this, that I was not defined by my past. It was a small victory, but it was my victory. The journey wasn't just about quitting porn or masturbation. It was about reclaiming my life, my freedom. It was about understanding that I was more than my addiction, that I had the power to change, to rewrite my story. It was a tough journey, but every small victory made me stronger. Today I stand here free from the chains of my addiction. And my friends, it's not just a simple statement, it's a declaration of victory, a testament to a journey that was fraught with challenges, yet filled with immense personal growth. In this newfound freedom, my life has transformed in ways I could have never imagined. It's not just about the absence of a harmful habit, but the presence of a newfound sense of self. I've learned to appreciate the simple joys of life, the beauty of a sunrise, the melody of a bird's song. I've rediscovered passions I had long forgotten, passions that now fill the void that was once occupied by my addiction. But this journey isn't just about discovering new hobbies or interests. It's about the deep, internal change that's taken place within me. I no longer crave porn or masturbation. It's not that I'm suppressing the desire, it's simply vanished. It's as if that part of me, that old version of myself, has been erased, replaced by a healthier, happier me. This newfound freedom has brought with it a sense of peace. I no longer wrestle with guilt or shame. I no longer feel trapped in a cycle of self-destruction. Instead, I feel a profound sense of calm, a tranquility that comes from knowing I'm in control of my actions, my thoughts, my life. The most liberating part of this journey? Realizing that I possess the power to change, that I'm not defined by my past actions, but by my present choices. The knowledge that I have the ability to shape my future, to become the person I want to be, has been the most empowering aspect of this entire process. And so I stand here today not as a victim but as a victor, not as a captive but as a free man. And I can confidently say, I no longer crave the very thing that once controlled me, and let me tell you, it feels amazing.